Hi, second graders. Today we're looking at a different fairy tale. This one is The Princess and the Pea, and this is Rachel Isadora's version. The Princess and the Pea is a Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, which is European, and it's about a princess who comes upon this kingdom where the prince is looking for a princess to marry, but he cannot tell if princesses are real or not, and so they developed a test. And the test is that they put a single pea underneath this stack of mattresses that she sleeps on. And in the morning, a real princess, a true princess, would be able to tell that there was something wrong, that there was some kind of disturbance underneath her mattress. And so they've tested this on lots of princesses, but the princesses can't feel it, so they're not real princesses until this one princess comes along and she can feel the pea underneath her mattress. So today I'm going to be reading you this version. This is a European fairy tale. However, this author, Rachel Isadora, grew up in and around Africa, and now she lives in New York City. But she adapted this fairy tale to a setting that she was familiar with, which is Africa. And so today you are going to be working on adapting your fairy tale to the new setting that you chose yesterday. So I thought this was a good story to read today because it takes a traditional fairy tale that sometimes is a little bit different, but she adapted, she changed the setting. And so even though the themes are the same, the conflict and resolution are the same, the characters and the setting are different. So that's why I'm reading this one today. The Princess and the Pea. Once upon a time, there was a prince. This story has fantastic illustrations. I'm going to offer that you illustrate your story today, however you want to. Drawing, painting, coloring. It makes a big difference in a story, I think. The prince wanted to marry a real princess, so he traveled all over the world in hopes of finding such a lady. He met many princesses, but it was difficult to tell whether they were real ones. Iska Waran is how you say hello in, hold on, there's a glossary in the back, Somalia. So these are different countries in Africa that he's traveling to. Somalia is his first stop, and this lady says Iska Waran. Salam, which is how you say hello in, check, Ethiopia. So this princess is from Ethiopia. And then Jambo Habari, says this princess, and she's from Kenya. There was something about each princess that was not quite right, so the prince came home again, and he was sad. Just hit myself with the book. Oops. One evening there was a terrible storm. Suddenly, a knocking was heard at the gate, and the old king went to open it. There was a princess standing at the gate. But good gracious, what a sight the rain and the wind had made her look. And yet she said she was a real princess. I'm noticing another theme where people are judged by the way they look on the outside. Ah, we shall soon find out if she is real, said the queen. So she went into the bedroom where she laid a pea upon the bedstead. Then she took 20 mattresses and laid them on the pea, and then put 20 feather beds on top of the mattresses. On this, the princess had to lie all night. Look at that stack of mattresses. The next morning, the princess was asked how she slept. "Oh, very badly," she said. "I scarcely closed my eyes all night. Heaven knows what was in the bed, but I was lying on something hard, so that I am black and blue all over." "That's horrible," said the king. Now they knew that she was a real princess, because she had felt the pea right through the 20 mattresses and the 20 feather beds. Nobody but a real princess could be as sensitive as that. So the prince took the princess for his wife. These beautiful pictures, my goodness. The pea was put in a museum where it may still be seen if no one has stolen it. There. That is a true story. Okay, so, love this book. It's so pretty. Let's talk about some things. What was the, drumroll please, conflict of this story? What would you say was the conflict of the story? The prince couldn't find a real princess, and he was very disturbed by this. Resolution to the story: they tested this princess to see if she was real by putting a pea under her mattress, and she could tell. What were some themes from this story? What lessons could be learned from it? I kind of dug deep, and I decided that I thought there are a few things. One is that looks can be deceiving, right? When she showed up and she was drenched from the rain and her clothes were all askew, they were like, "You can't be a real princess, surely not." You can't judge someone by the way they look. Their insides don't necessarily reflect their outsides. I also said that being honest was important. If this princess had said, "Oh, I slept fine," they would have kicked her out. She wouldn't have been marrying the prince because she didn't tell the truth. So she did tell the truth that she felt the pea, and it ended up being good that she did. Also, a theme that I said was that little things make a big difference. Something as small as a pea can make a big difference. So those were the themes. Now, today, you are going to be working on writing your story, your fairy tale adapted. And so I'm just going to show you what I've done so far of my fairy tale that I'm adapting. Remember, yesterday, I started to work on Cinderella. I wrote what the theme is, the conflict, resolution. I landed on my setting is going to be Swans Island, Maine, which is the island that I'm actually from, because I'm familiar with it. A lot of times writers write about what they know. I know that setting. I grew up there. So you might want to do your home depending on where you live. Or you could do something different. It doesn't really matter. And then characters. I made my list of characters. I named my Cinderella character Anna because that's my best friend from growing up. Her name is Anna. And I gave her a stepmother because it's a Cinderella story. So today, in your notebook, I want you to start your draft of your story. At the top, you'll write your story. I called mine Anna the Dreamer instead of Cinderella. And I started my story, and I included some pictures because I feel like if I had told you this story today and it didn't have these gorgeous illustrations, you probably would have been less interested in it. I think pictures are pretty important. And so if you would like, after your first paragraph or two, include a picture. This is my drawing. It's not very good. Don't judge. Okay, I'm going to read you what I have so far. I want you to see if you can pick out how I'm setting it up to be like Cinderella, whether it's the conflict or the theme that you sense. Anna the Dreamer by Miss J. Once there was a beautiful island girl named Anna. She lived with her stepmother and stepsister who treated her unkindly. They saw how lovely she was, and jealousy made them mean, so they treated her as a maid and only let her sleep on the cold wharf outside while they slept warmly in the house. Some things that you might notice I'm doing: I'm setting it up, I'm giving you my character, I'm making her like the other Cinderellas. So she's beautiful and she's kind, but other people are jealous of her and she's mistreated by her family, right? But something I'm doing is because of my setting, it's different how they're mistreating her. She still has to do chores for the other members of her household, but instead of getting burned by the fire like the rough face girl, or instead of, I don't remember how they mistreated Yeshen. They were just, they wouldn't feed Yeshen very much food. Instead of being mistreated that way, in Maine there are lots of wharves, which is this like dock on the ocean. And so because I'm setting it in Swan's Island, I made a dock, and she has to sleep on the dock while the stepmother and stepsisters get to sleep in the house. So that's how I'm changing it to fit my setting. But Anna was patient and kind. She always made the best of her chores, and at night distracted herself with dreams of faraway places. So there's Anna, the dreamer, dreaming away. Today I want you to work on your story, your fairy tale, and adapt it to the setting that you chose. When you're done with it, your draft, you can take a picture of it, you could read it, show us what you've done. I'm very excited to hear all of your fairy tales, and I'm sure your teacher is too if you're not in my class specifically. All right, writers, let's get to it.